Okay, people, I want to talk to you about wrongful evictions. Yes, there's such a thing as wrongful evictions, wrongful convictions, wrongful lawsuits. That's why I keep preaching to people. When you go to court, bring the rules of professional conduct and the code of judicial conduct, review them with the judge in that court so everybody plays by the rules and the codes. Everything goes by the book. All right, because they will do a lot of things that they can't do, but it's just because you don't know they can't do them. Okay, this is a Facebook friend. Regretfully, we never talked or met personally, but he's an informative gentleman. And let me just read to you what he wrote. In almost all cases, a landlord cannot legally evict you without a court order. Regardless of any eviction notices you may have received, evicting a tenant through other means such as changing the locks or shutting off utilities is an illegal self-help eviction. Since you have already motioned to appear in court, your landlord's actions are almost certainly illegal. Here is what you should do immediately to protect your rights. Re-enter your home. Your landlord does not have the legal authority to keep you out. Your goal is to regain access to your property and belongings. Call the police immediately. Explain that you are the tenant, have a legal right to be in the unit, and your landlord has illegally locked you out with a court-enforced order. Okay, present proof of tenancy. Have documentation ready to show the police, such as your lease, utility bills, or any other court paperwork you filed. Insist that this is not a civil matter. If the police say it's a civil matter, you may need to remind them that illegal lockouts are a violation of landlord-tenant law. Many cities, such as Chicago, have specific police procedures for these situations. Ask to speak with a watch commander or supervisor. Get a police report. If the police confirm the illegal lockout, ask for a copy of the report, as will be valuable evidence in your court case. Take immediate legal action. Since you have already motioned to appear in court, you must follow up quickly and inform the court of your landlord's illegal actions. File an emergency motion. File an emergency motion with the court to get an order of re-entry. This asks the judge to order your landlord to give you access to your home immediately. Many courts can schedule emergency hearing within a few business days. Continue with your existing motion. Do not miss your original court dates. When you appear, explain to the judge that your landlord illegally evicted you before the scheduled hearing. Contact legal aid. Reach out to a local legal aid office or tenant's right attorney for assistance. They can help you file the correct emergency motion and advise you of the legal process. In Cook County, you can contact Cook County Legal Aid for housing and housing and departments. Okay, document everything. A thorough record will be your strongest asset when you present your case to the court. Take photos and videos. As soon as you can, re-enter your unit. Take photos and videos of the property and your belongings. Document any damage or missing items. Keep all paperwork. Save all correspondences with your landlord, rent payment records, your lease, and all court documents. Maintain a detailed log. Write down all your interactions with the landlord, noting the date, time, and content of each conversation. Understand potential remedies in a court rules in your understand potential remedies. If the court rules in your favor, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Actual and punitive damages. Many jurisdictions allow tenants to sue for actual damages, costs incurred because of a lockout, and punitive damage to penalize the landlord for their illegal conduct. This could include expenses for temporary housing, lost property, and moving costs. Financial penalties. In some cities like Chicago, landlords can be fined hundreds of dollars for each day the illegal lockout continues. Tenancy reinstatement. A court can order that your tenancy be reinstated, allow you to move back into your home. So I asked him if I can do a video over folks on the internet. He said yes. Okay, but everything he said is true. You got to document everything. Stupidly enough, I didn't record every interaction with my landlord. So people, if you got to do that from the very beginning. You have your phones, your cameras, use them. Any conversation you have with your landlord, record it. All right. That was my mistake. My crazy landlord, the first day he came here, I didn't even know they were selling the building. I knew they were going to sell it because the other landlord, she didn't want to do repairs, and she said something about her LLC, and I can get some money, but she can just move on and do it to the next building they buy, But anyways, that's what she did. And this guy, I guess, didn't know all the repairs that were needed in the building. She didn't tell him. I guess he didn't care. He bought it as is. I'm not sure. But when he first came to see the building, him and some other guy just keyed their way in, unannounced, didn't ring the doorbell, didn't knock on the door, and got upset because I had my wheelchair in front of the door, so they just couldn't walk in. I almost hurt myself trying to get to the door to move my wheelchair to see who it was, and when I did, the keys were still in the door, and the guy says, hey, hey, hey. I said, what are you doing? Because I work here. I said, how the hell do I know that? Identify yourself. I said, I want to see some IDs. I didn't have my phone. I didn't record. And I started yelling at him, and there was somebody with him. He says, oh, this guy's going to buy the building. He has to inspect it. We have the right. I said, you have the right if I let you in. You can't just come in here unannounced. He said he rang the doorbell. I didn't hear it. And I rang the doorbell. It's really loud. I was sitting right there. Well, I knocked. No, you didn't. So I started yelling at them. And the two guys, they left. Come on, let's go to another apartment. Let's go check out the other apartments. And I called the cops. Cops came. They found them. I asked the cops for a police report. They told me I had to file a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, if I want to copy the police report, because I wanted their names. I wanted proof who these people were. They had no legal right coming in unannounced, just keying their way in. So if I want to copy that police report, I have to file a FOIA report, which before it was mandatory. When you file a complaint, you get a copy of the report, thus making that under the color of law. Now, in order to get evidence, you have to pay for it. Just a police report. That was in the interest of the bar, not in the public interest. And as you know, the Constitution says all laws must be created in the public interest. This is how we maintain the public trust. That'll tell you that in the Rules of Professional Conduct in the preamble as well. So if that is true, any law made in favor of the few over the many is unconstitutional. Anyways, but keep a record of everything. And, my landlords, they actually shut off the hot water here Friday while they were making the repairs in the bathroom. That was being vindictive. So I told them I wasn't going to use the bathroom till Saturday morning to let the plaster dry in the bathroom. And I waited till Saturday morning. When I went to take a shower, there was no hot water. 9 o'clock in the morning, 24 hours after these guys showed up. So I texted the landlord, because he won't answer the phone. Hey, I don't have any hot water. He texts me back, oh, well, I'll send somebody Monday. So I text him back, no. you'll send somebody today. We went on with the conversation. He says, well, Monday. I said, no, you have people here every day of the week. You have people, which he did. He had people here working on the building. I could hear him making all kinds of noise. Tell him, just go turn on the hot water. Why'd they shut it off? I was being vindictive. He said, well, I'll have somebody out there Monday. So I text him. I'll go over the text with you later, but I text him, no, it's a daily habit of mine, showering, it's a belief of mine. Cleanliness is next to godliness. I'm a religious person. And he texts me back, oh, I'll have somebody out in 30 to 60 minutes. Be home. I'm handicapped. The idiot knows I'm handicapped. He knows I'm on SSDI. We've been over this discussion. And it turns out the past landlord had discussed this with him. He admitted to that. And that was ridiculous, shutting off the hot water. The landlord before them shut off the water on me for 36 hours. Or they would lower the water pressure. Go to take a shower. You have to run around to get wet. And I can't run. I can barely stand. Good thing I got a shower stool. They didn't change the water temperature, but they lowered the water pressure. It was so low. Good thing my shower head's on a hose. I could unhook it and hold it over me. But you're going to have to keep track of everything. You know how landlords are, shitty people. All they're in for the money. This building has changed hands several times, and through these times, nobody has done any of their repairs. And any repairs they do, it's always DIY. They don't hire professionals. That's why it takes so long. The water quality is poor. They got mad because I complained about that. It's we're starting to see. Well, when the last landlord took over, she decided to save some money, and I'm guessing she changed the trash cans from to a smaller one. First few times I went out, there was garbage sitting outside the trash can. This is a big building. And that trash can, 2 buildings use it. And eventually there's all these rat traps out there. So I want to get out of here. The landlords keep getting shittier and shittier. Oh, I got an LLC, so you can't sue me, and I won't go out of business. And LLCs were, in the interest of the bar, because the bar is making money, and they know, what they did was not in the public interest. It was in the interest of the people that paid them to make laws that violate the public interest. They can't do that. But they'll do it anyways because you don't know. But that's in some of the videos that I've done. I checked YouTube and it said I have 215 or more videos of a lot of laws, a lot of different laws that aren't being enforced, nobody's adhering to. Well, that's because you don't know they exist. For every law, there are penalties for violating that law. I'm quite sure you heard the rule of law. That's not happening. Google penalties for violating the rule of law. The letter of the law. I am so sick and tired of all this disinformation when it comes to the law. For lawyers and judges, it's illegal to give disinformation. That means it's illegal for them to lie. Not just in their legal life, in their professional life, but in their personal life. They can't even give the appearance of being a bullshitter. But they do. Okay, let me just... trying to. Okay. Okay, so just look up tenants' rights, people. But it's really hard to get public servants to do anything, but it's really hard. I'm going to try again. I tried last year calling them, but, I said I got to fill out forms and this guy literally yelled at me. I got it on video. Oh, you think you deserve special privileges because you're handicapped. I never asked for anything special. I try to do my best to do on my own. The only help I get is from Catholic Charities. They send somebody out once a week for 4 hours. That's it. That's all the help I get. But they're not a government agency, so they're pretty quick in helping me. The first time they sent somebody out, I hadn't eaten in almost 3 days. I told her, take me to the grocery store. And she did. And I was opening stuff and eating while I was shopping. Oh man, I was hungry. Okay, landlords must provide written notice if they do not intend to renew a lease. Eviction, landlord must follow legal procedures to evict a tenant, and tenants have the right to contest these lawsuits. And that's what I told him. He said, I'll evict you. I said, go ahead. You have your legal remedies, I have mine. Oh, you're going to have to get a lawyer. No, I won't. No, I won't. That's when I told him directly, I'll just take a copy of the Rules of Professional Conduct and the Code of Judicial Conduct and make sure everybody plays by the book. I said, I'll have your lawyer cited for illegal harassment, which is strictly forbidden. If you read the Rules of Professional Conduct in the preamble, it'll tell you this is not but legal harassment. Why? Because they don't want to fix nothing. And it just, but look up, see, they have landlord, tenants' rights, landlords have rights, tenants' rights, All right, but, some people I talk to on the internet that I make friends with is because they know the particulars of certain courts. Like the other gentleman in child court, he knows quite, he's more familiar with particulars in child custody. But see, I know all the particulars of how the court's supposed to work. Every court. And once I taught him, oh, that man is a badass. When he goes into that courtroom, he's strutting in there like Godzilla, strutting through Tokyo. Because he knows his rights. He knows the law. He knows they're breaking the law. He even divulged the conspiracy against rights under the color of law in the court of law and cited the judges and the lawyers and everybody in there for violating the rules, the codes, the laws, and the judges, the judge, the lawyers, they're all legally required to report each other as well as themselves, and they're not doing it. And then he started understanding. When I told him, you're living under the color of law. Look that up, under the color of law. I said, yeah, what's going on? And remember, I explained to you, it's a conspiracy. They're working together to deprive you of your constitutional rights, starting with effective assistance of counsel, which is guaranteed in the Sixth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, and no state can override that. You know, any law to circumvent that is null and void. It can't be done. Why anybody would think of doing it, I don't know. It's against the law. All laws created must be in the public interest. But see, all of you don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. But if you go through all my videos, you know, I'm just reading a bunch of laws to you. All right, so people, remember, anytime you go into court, there's always some wrongful something or another going on. So you're going to have to take the rules of professional conduct and the code of judicial conduct with you. Make sure everybody plays by the book. You know, do this due process thing, you know, that everybody's complaining about. They ain't getting it. And seriously, you'll never be able to give informed consent if you don't have the reasonable knowledge to make an informed decision. The only way you'll get that reasonable knowledge to make that informed decision, to get informed consent, is if you have the legal knowledge. To have the actual ability to make an informed decision, to give conformed consent. Remember, informed consent is mandatory before a case can proceed in any court of law. Okay. And there's something else I forgot. I'm going to repost it. This gentleman posted. I forgot it was about, but it was one of the subjects I touched on a long time ago. I don't remember if I did a video about it, but he shared one about it, and I'm going to share it with you later, okay? Nothing but peace and love for you, my friends. You know, may your Creator always be with you, and may He always rain many blessings. Long life and good health, my friends. Long life and good health.